Thank you, and thank you, Faith. Good morning, colleagues and members of the ANA family. I've been attending a combination of the House of Delegates and the Membership Assembly for many years now. So as those of you from out west might say, this is not my first rodeo. It is, however, my first as president of the American Nurses Association. And I cannot be more delighted about the prospects of sharing with you what we have going on at the national level and some of my priorities for my term in office. But first, I want to tell you about a feeling. It's a feeling that I get from being at the Membership Assembly. It's something that has been consistent all along from the time I attended this governance body as a delegate from North Carolina. And as you know, there's a lot of work we do here to advance our national association and the profession in partnership with you, the representatives of the Constituent and State Nurses Association, the individual member division, and our organizational affiliates. One thing I want to call out and celebrate is your wonderful response to our request for policy proposals this year. ANA received more than 60 proposals, and as you see from our agenda, we're discussing some timely and relevant issues. I look forward to robust discussion and debate on these important topics. This is the necessary work of a modern, successful, forward-looking professional association. That feeling that I'm talking about lies underneath all of this. It is the profound sense of commonality, cohesion, and unity that arises from our professional experiences and from the challenges that every nurse faces in providing the highest quality of care to their patients. This is at the very core of our fellowship, our shared purpose, and our determination to do what is right for nurses. We know that if we do what's right for nurses, we can bring profound and positive change to healthcare in this country and to the quality of life for people in our communities, our nation, and throughout the world. So I'm proud to salute you as leaders of our noble profession and as leaders of our association. I think who we are and what we do can best be summed up in the mission of our organization. Nurses advancing our profession to improve health for all. For 17 consecutive years now, Gallup's annual Honesty and Ethics poll found that Americans rank nursing as the most trusted profession. And once again, in last year's poll, it wasn't even close. And we know why this is. As we begin this assembly and the work before us, I encourage us to consider these questions. What are we doing with this trust? How are we going to build on our professional capital to take our profession to new heights? And how will we influence the public agenda to improve healthcare and make the world a better place? It's on this subject that I tend to let my experience as a burn nurse and volunteer firefighter come into play. Except what I'd like to do is to take some of the terms that are normally associated with destruction and loss and invert their meanings. So when we think about fanning the flames, I want us to think about generating a positive form of heat that inspires and motivates nurses to live out their natural inclination towards leadership. Let's fan those flames. And when we think about fully involved, that's a term used in firefighting to describe a structure that is headed for total loss. I want us to think of total gain that society will experience when nurse leaders take their rightful position as leaders. Let's ensure that nurses become fully involved in leading the way towards solving public health challenges and influencing health policy decisions. Fully involved, for example, by joining boards of directors in developing groundbreaking innovation that will help transform healthcare to focus on health and wellness and in addition to illness. As an association, we can and we will continue to fan those flames. So with utmost confidence in the natural ability of nurses to step into leadership roles at their places of work, in their profession, and across society at large, I have been working on some priorities for my presidency. The first is to increase the diversity of nursing. Now, to be sure, the profession is more diverse and there's more opportunities for people of minority backgrounds to get into nursing than when I first got into the profession. But our nation is on track to become majority minority in about 25 years. And the last study I saw found that nurses from minority backgrounds still represent fewer than 1 in 5 of those in the RN workforce. So we've got a long way to go. And I'd like to see ANA step up its leadership role in bringing more diversity to nursing. And why is that so essential, you ask? Well, the answer is simple. Because it means higher quality care for patients. And that, of course, is at the very core of our mission. I also believe that a more diverse nursing workforce could be more effective in helping our society address the growing racial disparities in healthcare and health outcomes. Accordingly, we will foster efforts to increase the diversity of nursing, intensifying our efforts to collaborate with diverse organizations of nurses and striving to increase participation in ANA by nurses spanning cultures, race, religion, creed, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, age, experience, or any aspect of identity. Nursing in ANA needs to better represent the diverse population of patients that we serve. One thing we should be doing, and we will try harder to do in the days ahead, is to work more collaboratively with nursing organizations formed to represent the needs of minority and ethnic nurses that frankly were established because their members felt that ANA was not serving their interests. Although some may still feel this way, we're opening up new dialogues with many of these organizations. For example, at this membership meeting, I am pleased to welcome the leaders of the Philippine Nursing Association of America. They are our newest organizational affiliate. And also joining us as special guests are leaders from the National Association of Hispanic Nurses and Chi Phi Nursing Sorority. I personally believe that we can make major strides towards increasing diversity and inclusion by reaching out to these organizations, not only with programming ideas or participating in their events, but also by doing some real relationship building based on frank and open dialogue. Our goal should be to create a baseline of understanding that we all need each other, that we are attuned to each other's issues, and that we are strongest and more effective when we follow our instinct to work collaboratively. One great avenue we have for beginning these conversations is by assessing the important connections and relationships that we have with those who have participated in ANA's Minority Fellowship Program, which is marking its 45th anniversary this year. We can and we will build on these efforts to increase the diversity of nursing. My second priority is to increase the relevance of ANA to nurses, especially nurses on the front line, so that they can continue to grow our membership. I think it begins with invigorating the activities and the programs that are at the very heart of what a professional association is supposed to do. And that is to connect our members with each other so that they can learn from one another, develop their own skills and opportunities, and join together to make the profession better. We are, after all, one big knowledge community, There is much that we can share and much that we can learn. And as you may know, we're focused on establishing ANA as the professional home for all nurses across their career path. And as part of that positioning, we have identified a segmentation strategy to guide the development of targeted products, services, and engagement opportunities. This includes online communities to foster networking and discussions. For example, our early career segment targets those who have recently received their RN license in the last 4 years. An up-and-comers segment is for those with a little more experience who are beginning to think about becoming leaders in the profession. And an ANA nursing leader segment is for nurse executives, APRNs, and nursing educators to connect with their peers and discuss how to mentor the next generation of nurses and help them to adjust to the changing world of healthcare. We keep learning about what resonates with each of these segments and refining our programs. For example, we just completed our spring series of webinars. There's one for each of these 3 segments that I just spoke about. And we had almost 60,000 total registrants, with the majority of the registrants being potential members. We have also developed a mentorship program as a way to provide value and opportunity to early career nurses and those who are more seasoned and looking to give back. Our first year of the membership program was wonderfully successful. Building on that, we're aiming to double the number of participants in the program this year. Additionally, we seek other ways to strengthen the connection we have with our members. It is our job to be attuned to emerging and persistent issues in the profession, to speak out forcefully when the situation calls for it, and to provide our members with a platform to make their views known to society at large. One example is ANA's stepped-up efforts to address workplace violence. We already know from studies that nurses are especially susceptible to violent assault by a patient or family members, or bullying by a peer or supervisor while performing their jobs. So we launched the hashtag End Nurse Abuse campaign to promote zero tolerance policies for abuse against nurses and the reporting of such abuse. As you likely know, we're also actively supporting legislation that will require the Occupational Safety and Health Administration to develop standards mandating healthcare and social services employers to write and implement workplace violence prevention plans. We're also working to develop a shared resource and tools to help nurses make their work environments safer. One example is a tip card that will be disseminated widely. We have copies on hand for you while you are here. I would note that we have added sexual harassment as an element of this campaign. And a few months ago, we officially joined Time's Up healthcare movement. Their goal, which is to unify national efforts to bring safety, equality, and dignity to our healthcare work environment, aligns with our goals. Working together, we can and we will end nurse abuse. My third priority is for ANA to increase nurses' engagement with consumers and, through that, elevate consumers' understanding of the value of nursing. Now, this is not a new objective for the association. For the past quarter century, ANA has sponsored and promoted National Nurses Week in May of each year. This has been an opportunity to build awareness among the public about nurses' contributions to a healthier society and a better world. Just a couple of months ago, we upped the ante, so to speak, with our launch of Nursing Now USA campaign. This is our American edition of the International Council of Nursing and the World Health Organization's global campaign to improve health and healthcare by highlighting the impact of nurses on patients, families, and communities at all levels. We see this campaign as a way to involve the wider public in understanding and developing solutions for the critical issues affecting the nursing profession, such as workplace violence, pay equity, staffing shortages, and barriers to practice. Along the same lines, the World Health Organization has officially designated 2020 as the year of the nurse and midwife, and in recognition of the 200th anniversary of the birth of 2020. Additionally, it is important for us to remember that our grand challenge is called Healthy Nurse, Healthy Nation. We made great strides in engaging individual nurses and hundreds of organizations to participate in this program. In fact, I'm proud to report to you that earlier this week, we reached a major milestone in the growth of this program. By working together, we have more than 100,000 participants in this program. I'm sure that you will agree that that is something to celebrate. As the momentum continues, I know we will see the positive impact on consumers as well. Now, these efforts offer abundant opportunities to leverage the trust that our profession has built with consumers and help people recognize our roles as leaders in transforming healthcare for the better, and to support us as we undertake that mission. Through all of this work, though, we can and we will elevate consumers' understanding of the value of nursing. So finally, let's talk about advocacy for a moment. This is my fourth priority, to bolster the capacities within our ranks to practice and engage in public advocacy at all levels. You know, there's an old saying about the three types of people: those who are in the loop, those who are out of the loop, and those who don't even know that there's a loop. So, our goal as an organization should be to own the loop. Yes. And that indeed is what ANA tries to do every day and every way at all levels. You do it in your communities and in the state capitals. Together, we do it here in Washington. I know that on this issue, I'm preaching to the converted, given that yesterday, most of you were up on Capitol Hill doing precisely what I'm talking about. I truly believe it is a natural tendency of nurses to want to change things for the better. And as we heard in the 2020, or as we head into 2020, in the celebration of Florence Nightingale's bicentennial, we will reflect on the many wise and provocative things that she said, including, quote, "Were there none who were discontented with what they have, the world would never reach anything better," unquote. We trace our roots as an organization to leaders who are discontented and envision a better way. This is who we are as nurse leaders. Sometimes it's about fixing what's broken. Sometimes it's about righting wrongs. But the bottom line is that when there is a crisis or issue to be resolved, we step up. Our goal should be to help nurses develop their natural skills and become effective public advocates. It will benefit them. It will benefit their communities. And it will enhance ANA's influence and impact. So I want to fan those flames of leadership. I want to issue a challenge to you as nurse leaders to step up and become more fully involved in advancing our mission and achieving our vision for a healthier, more equitable society and a better and safer world for all. And whatever I can do to help you become more effective leaders, whatever I can do to ignite your passion for seizing opportunities and leading the way to solutions, I want you to tell me about it. We can and we will lead our profession and our society to find these solutions. Now I want to leave you with this. Don't stand still. Let's stand together. And let's stand tall. Now I know you're thinking, that's easy for him to say. Am I right? But thank you for all you do here this week and all year long. And I look forward to a great membership assembly. Thank you very much.